All right, so we are going to practice some more. So it's still the same stuff that we've been doing. We've got elimination, or we got substitution, or last resort is graphing. And the instructions this time are for elimination, which again is my favorite. So if we look at this one, I got a 4x. This would need to be a negative 4x, so I could multiply the bottom row by negative 4. Or this one, I got a positive 5y and a negative y. If I just multiply the top by 5, you can do either way. I'm going to choose to multiply the top row by 5. So 5 times row 1. Simply because if I don't have to worry about messing up a sign. Okay, down here I would have to make sure that I distributed the negative correctly. So it's just one less thing for me to worry about. So 5 times row 1, well, 5 times 4x is 20x's. Okay, 5 times negative y is negative 5y's. And 5 times 14 is going to be a big number, is 70. Okay, the bottom row stays the same. So I've got x plus 5y's is 14. So when I add these, so 20x's plus 1x is 21x's. Negative 5y's plus 5y's is no y's, that's the point. And then 70 and 14 is 84. So if I divide both sides by 21, I get an x value of 4. So we know that x works. X is a 4. So I know my answer is a coordinate, 4 comma something. Okay. So now I need to either grab the top row or the bottom row and figure out what y is. And to me, I think that the bottom row looks a little bit easier. So the bottom row is x plus 5y is 14. Well, I know that x is 4. So 4 plus 5y is 14. So I'm going to subtract 4. So I get 5y is 10. So divide both sides by 5, and I get y is 2. So I do have an answer. It is a coordinate pair where my x value is 4 and my y value is 2. So I'm going to let you do that one. All right, so let's actually, hang on, back up. Because we haven't done one where it doesn't work, okay? And we haven't done one where, what's the word? We haven't done one where there's an infinite number of solutions, and we haven't done one where there's no solution. So let's just keep working and see what we got. So 10x's minus 8y is 3. And then I've got 5x's minus 4y is 1. Okay, so if I look, let's go ahead and kill off x's. So if this is a 10, I need this to be a negative 10. So I'm going to multiply that entire bottom row by negative 2 so that I can get him to be a negative 10. So I'm going to be negative 2 times row 2. So now I've got top row doesn't change. And then bottom row, negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. Negative 2 times negative 4y is positive 8y. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So now, when I work vertically, you can't see, when I work vertically, I get a 0 here. When I work vertically, oh no, I get a 0 here, and then I get 1. So I get 0 plus 0. Does 0 equal 1? No, it does not. This is impossible. So since this is impossible, that tells you that there's no way to get an answer, which means that these are parallel lines. So there is no solution. And what does that mean in context? It means that they are parallel lines. Okay, so let's try another one. We have 3x's plus 4y is 5. And then I have 6x's plus 8y's is 10. All right, so looking at this, let's just go ahead and decide to kill the x's. So if this is a 6, I need that to be a negative 6. So what do I multiply 3 by to get negative 6? I need to multiply the top row by negative 2. So negative 2 times 3x is going to be negative 6x's. Negative 2 times 4y's is a negative 8y. And a negative 2 times 5 is a negative 10. Bottom row stays the same. So 6x's plus 8y is 10. Well, that zeroes out, and that zeroes out. So the question is, does 0 equal 0? Yes, it does. So what that means is you have infinitely many solutions. Okay, there's an infinite number of solutions, which means they are technically the same line. So if you'll look up here, if you divided this bottom row by 2, you would have gotten 3x plus 4y is 5. Okay, so it's the exact same line. They just lay on top of each other when you graph them. All right, so we have one that's a little bit more exciting. I have 5x over 2 plus 5y over 3 equals 65 over 2. And then this was a stupid little bracket because we're going to do this really big. All right, so my next one is x over 4 plus y over 3 equals 19 over 4. So the first thing I want to do, just like I did in the first video where I wanted to kill the fractions, I can kill these fractions. So your question is, if you needed a common denominator, what would it be? So you've got denominators of 2, 3, and 2. Well, 6 is the smallest number that 2 goes into and that 3 goes into. So really, when I ask you, hey, what would the common denominator be? I'm actually asking you, what's the least common multiple among 2, 3, and 2? And that answer is 6. So if we multiply everything by 6 on the top row, okay, what is that going to get me? So I'm going to write this simplified answer over here. Okay, 6 and 2. Okay, so I'm multiplying this by 6, this by 6, this by 6. I can multiply everything by 6. I can multiply everything by anything I want to. I'm going to multiply everything by 6. Well, 6 and 2 reduces to 3. So this is actually 5x times 3 is 15x. Okay, or you could look at this as 5 times x times 6 is 30 divided by 2 is 15. Okay, so do this one. 5 times 6 is 30 divided by 3 is 10. What you could have done was reduced it first, and now I've got 5y times 2 is 10y's. Okay, and then 2 and 6 reduced to 3. 3 times 65 is going to be, oh my goodness, 195? I think, hang on, 65 times 3 is 195. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. What's the least common multiple? What would your common denominator be? It would be 12. That's the smallest number that 4 and 3 go into. So I am going to multiply all 3 pieces by 12. Okay, so what does that get me? 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times x is 3x. Okay, 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 times y is 4y. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 3 times 19 is 57. Okay, so now I have my setup. And so now I can go through, and this, sorry, that's a plus. Okay, now I can go through and I can decide, and I'm looking at this, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply the bottom row by -5. Because if this is a positive 15, I can make this a negative 15. Okay, so I'm going to take row 1 times -5. So this is going to, oh, sorry, row 2. Just kidding. All right, so 15x's plus 10y equals 195. And then take -5 through that bottom row. So -5 times 3x is a negative 15x. -5 times 4 is a negative 20. And then -5 times 57 is going, oh, shoot. -5 times 57 is negative 285. Okay, so 15x's minus 15x's is no x's. 10y's minus 20y's is negative 10y's. 195 minus 285 is negative 90. Okay, and that gives me, dividing both sides by -10, that gives me a y of, this reduces to 9. So now I can find out what x is. Okay, so I know that my answer is a coordinate. I know the y coordinate's 9. Now go back up to either one. Now, if you do these, I just don't want to deal with fraction world. So I'm going to grab one of these. Well, this bottom row looks a whole lot easier. So I'm going to shove a 9 into that bottom row. So 3x plus 4 times 9 is 57. So 3x plus 36 is 57. So subtract 36, subtract 36. So I get 21 is 3x. Divide by 3, I get x equals 7. Okay? So it may have looked ugly, wrong one. It may have looked ugly to start with, but you've got one solution and it's 7, 9. Okay? We got a couple more. I've got a 6,000 seat theater. Has tickets for sale at $25 and $40. How many tickets should be sold at each price for a sellout performance to generate a total revenue of $178,500? They're organizing two different ways. They're organizing in quantity and they're organizing in price. Okay? So I'm going to use C for cheap. Okay? C for cheap and E for E for expensive. Okay? Those are going to be the variables I choose. You can use X's and Y's. I don't care. I'm using C's and E's. So I know if I add up all of the cheap seats plus all of the expensive seats, I know I'm going to fill up 6,000 seats. Okay? So that's quantity. This amount plus this amount is this amount. Now we have to do money. So 25 times the cheap seats plus 40 times the expensive seats will give me a total of $178,500. Okay, this is one of those times where you might want to use substitution. Okay, so if you want to, actually I don't want to use substitution. I'm going to multiply the top row by negative 25. So negative 25 times row 1, that'll give me a negative 25 here and a positive 25 here. I just think it's quicker to do elimination. All right, so my new row is a negative 25C minus a 25E is going to be 25 times 6 is, I don't even know, 25 times 6,000 is 150,000. Okay, and then I've got 25 C's plus 40 E's is going to be 178,000. Okay, so subtract that. My cheap seats are gone. I've got 40 E's minus 25 E's is 15 E's. 178 minus 150 is 28,000. Okay, so if I divide both sides by 15, I will now know minus 178 is divided by 15 is, and I get a fractional number of seats. Pause this problem. Hang on. Haha, this is 28,500. Sorry, I read the problem wrong. This is a 5. Okay, so this is 28,500. And when I divide 28,500 by 15, I get 28,500 divided by 15 is 1,900. So I've got 1,900 expensive tickets sold. Okay, well, I only have a total of 6,000 seats. So C plus E must be 6,000. Well, I know that E is 1,900. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 1,900, and I'm going to get that C equals 4,100 tickets. So the cheap tickets were 4,100. The expensive tickets were 1,900. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm going to set up the last two. And then I'll let you do them on your own because I really don't want to take another video for this one. All right, so the first one that we've got, it has to do with planes. And we're talking about with a tailwind and with a headwind. If you've got a tailwind, that means the wind hits the tail first and moves up towards the head of the plane. If you've got a headwind, it means the wind hits the head of the plane first and goes back to the tail. So if you've got a tailwind, it's helping you fly. If you've got a headwind, it's slowing you down because you're going into the wind. Okay, so what we have is it flies 1,800 miles in 9 hours. So I have 1,800 miles because it's distance times rate time, or distance equals rate times time. Okay, so my rate is going to be x plus y because I have the speed of the plane and the speed of the wind. And that's going to be times 9 hours. So that one will end up being 9x plus 9y is 1,800. Okay, with a tailwind, it's going 1800 at x minus y. So it's going to be the speed of the plane, and then the speed of the wind is hindering it, okay? And that takes 12 hours to do. So that is going to be 12x minus 12y is 1800. So there's your system. And now you can, actually you could divide this whole thing by 9 and get x plus y equals 200. Divide this whole thing by 12, and you would get x minus y equals, what is 18 divided by 12? Divided by 12. Should be 150. Okay, so that is your cleaned up system. I just divided the top by 9 to make it easier to work with. Okay, I divided the bottom by 12 to make it easier to work with. And you may be able to do the last one by yourself. Yes, I believe you can. Okay, so you're just going to find the equations of lines and then set up your system. So you are done with section 6.1.